Hello viewers, welcome to Unacademy. Let's crack management exams English. In this session, we'll be looking at the concept of mixtures and alligations. Very quickly, let me introduce myself. I am Arjun Prasad, engineer with 12 plus years of teaching experience, having trained more than 6,000 CAT aspirants in the fields of quantitative aptitude, data interpretation, data sufficiency, and logical reasoning, as well as I have helped them crack the personal interviews. I've trained more than 4,000 students to crack the campus recruitment exams. That said, let us begin the session on mixtures and alligations. Before we move on to mixtures and alligations and the alligation principle, we need to understand the concept of weighted average. Let us understand the concept of weighted average with an example question, with a very simple question. Let us say a person bought 4 kilos of apples costing rupees 15 per kilo and 6 kilos of oranges costing rupees 20 per kilo. What is the average price per kilo of fruit he bought? We don't need to use a pen and a paper. We can solve it just orally. 4 kilos, 15 rupees per kilo. So how much money went out of the pocket? 60 rupees went out of the pocket to buy apples. Then 6 kilos at the rate of 20 rupees per kilo. How much money went out of the pocket? 120 rupees went out of the pocket. So totally how much money went out of the pocket? 120 plus 60, which is 180 rupees went out of the pocket. How many kilos of fruit did he buy? 4 plus 6, which is 10 kilos of fruit. 180 rupees went out of the pocket. 10 kilos of fruits have been bought. Therefore, the average price per kilo will be 180 divided by 10, which is nothing but 18 rupees per kilo. Hope it is clear. It is extremely important. That is the reason that I am emphasizing on this question, because the entire concept of alligation is dependent on this simple question. So 4 kilos at the rate of rupees 15 per kilo, 60 rupees. 6 kilos at the rate of rupees 20 per kilo, 120 rupees, divided by the total number of kilos of fruits, 4 plus 6, which is 10, which gives us the answer as 18. Okay. Now that said, let us understand the concept of alligation principle. We will in fact now derive alligation principle formula. Okay. With the help of a question. The question is as follows. A person bought W1 kilos of an entity costing rupees P1 per kilo and W2 kilos of another entity costing rupees P2 per kilo, so that the average price per kilo of mixture is rupees P. Express the ratio of W1 to W2 in terms of P1 and P2. W1 kilos at rupees P1 per kilo, W2 kilos at rupees P2 per kilo, such that the average turns out to be rupees P per kilo. We have to express the ratio of W1 to W2 in terms of P1 and P2. This is very similar to the previous question. Just that instead of 4 kilos of apples, he says W1 kilos of an entity. Instead of stating that 4 kilos of apples at 15 rupees per kilo, he says P1 rupees per kilo. Instead of stating 6 kilos of oranges, he has stated W2 kilos of an entity. Instead of stating that 20 rupees per kilo, he has stated P2 rupees per kilo. Instead of calculating the average price, he says that the average price is rupees P. Now, if we go by the same thought of how we solved the previous question, we will be ending up writing W1 kilos, P1 rupees per kilo. So W1 into P1, this much went out of the pocket. W2 kilos at rupees P2 per kilo. So W2 into P2, this much went out of pocket. Totally W1 P1 plus W2 P2 went out of the pocket. How many kilos has he bought? W1 plus W2. So therefore, what is the average price per kilo? Total amount that went out of his pocket divided by the total amount of entity that was bought, W1 plus W2. This average is nothing but rupees P per kilo. Is that clear? Now, let us simplify this. We get W1 P1 plus W2 P2. Just cross multiply P into W1, which is W1P, P into W2, which is W2P plus W2P. Now rearrange the terms such that you bring W1 terms on one side and W2 terms on the other side. W1 P1 as it is. This W1P, when it comes onto this side, minus W1P. W2P, I retain it as it is. This W2P2, when it comes onto this side, it becomes minus W2P2. W1 is common, so let me take W1 common out, into P1 minus P is equal to W2, I am taking it common outside, P into P minus P2. So W1 by W2 will be P minus P2 divided by P1 minus P. This is nothing but the allegation principle, which is extremely helpful and also useful to solve the questions in very quick time. Okay. Just because understanding it or remembering it in this fashion is slightly inconvenient, there has been a convention that we usually follow. We write the two prices P1 and P2 in this fashion and the average, the weighted average P over here. And whenever you move across the diagonal, always remember, when you move along the diagonal, just do higher value minus the lower value. Because whether I write it as P minus P2 by P1 minus P or I write it as P2 minus P by P minus P1, it does not make any difference because it's just like multiplying both numerator and denominator by a minus sign. So whenever you go along the diagonal, just do a higher value minus the lower value. Here I am assuming that P1 is greater than P and P is greater than P2. Okay. So therefore, in this fashion, along this diagonal, it will be P1 minus P, and along this diagonal, it will be P minus P2. P minus P2, P1 minus P. That is nothing but the ratio of W1 to W2. W1 is to W2 is equal to P minus P2 is to P1 minus P. This is the principle of allegation, and it is extremely important and advantageous to understand and use it. Okay. We'll see a lot of questions in this session where we'll be applying the principle of allegation. Clear? Let us move on with a question. The question is as follows. At a B school, there are 60 assistant professors and some professors. There are 60 assistant professors and some professors. The average salary of all the professors and assistant professors is rupees 21 lakh per annum. If the average salary of assistant professor is rupees 15 lakh per annum and that of professor is rupees 30 lakh per annum, then find the number of professors at the B school. Now, if we go ahead and if we try to solve it in the traditional way, how would we solve it? See, because these 5 zeros are common, so we won't write, I'm not writing those 5 zeros in the solution. If you look at traditionally, if we solve, how we would solve? Total salary, because the average salary is 21 lakhs per annum and there are 60 assistant professors. Let us say there are X number of professors. So what is the total salary? 21 lakhs into 60 plus X. As I already mentioned, I am not writing these 5 zeros, so I'll write it as 21 times of 60 plus X. All of this is in terms of lakhs. So 21 times of 60 plus X. This total salary is equal to, what was the total salary for the assistant professors? 15 lakh and 60 assistant professors. So 15 into 60 plus how many professors are there? We have to find that X number of professors. What is the average salary for a professor? 30 lakhs. So 30x. 15 into 60 plus 30x. Now simplify. We'll get it as 21 times of 60 minus 15 times of 60. This 15 into 60, I brought it this side, is equal to 30x minus 21x. 30x minus 21x is 9x. Now 21 times of 60 minus 15 times of 60 is same as 6 times of 60. That is equal to 9x. X therefore will be 60 times of 6 divided by 9. If we simplify this, 60 into 6 divided by 9, if we simplify, we get the answer as 40. So how many professors are there? there are 40 professors at the B school. This much amount of calculation has to be done. But if we understand the principle of allegation, which we just now derived, we can directly write that assistant professor, what is the average salary? 15 lakh. For a professor, what is the average salary? 30 lakh. For assistant professor and professor put together, what is the average? 21. You go along this diagonal, 30 minus 21, 9. Go along this diagonal, 21 minus 15, 6. Therefore, the ratio of number of assistant professors to the number of professors is 9:6. Or in other words, 3:2. The ratio of assistant professors to professors is in the ratio of 3:2. Given that there are 60 assistant professors, that is, if 3 corresponds to 60, then 1 corresponds to 20, therefore 2 corresponds to 40. 2 corresponds to 40, therefore my answer is 40. Without doing any of this calculation, we can directly get the answer. Always remember the golden rule in mathematics. It can be any question. Two parts create a pain. First is the use of variables and the second is the use of fractions. If we avoid the use of variables and fractions, we are in heaven. If we use one of them, we are between heaven and hell. If we use both of them, we are in hell. This method is hell, this method is heaven. Choose whichever is convenient for you. Is that clear? Let us take another question now. I'll give you maybe a minute time to think about it, and then I shall give you the solution. The question is as follows. A sugar syrup was prepared by Smita such that for every cup of sugar, 4 cups of water were added. Smita's daughter Artha then added 15 more cups of sugar. The sugar syrup now has water and sugar in the ratio of 3:2. How many cups of sugar was present in the initial sugar syrup prepared by Smita? Let me repeat it. A sugar syrup was prepared by Smita such that for every cup of sugar, 4 cups of water were added. Smita's daughter Artha then added 15 more cups of sugar. The sugar syrup now has water and sugar in the ratio of 3:2. How many cups of sugar was present in the initial sugar syrup prepared by Smita? You have 1 minute time now. Okay, let us look at the solution and then let us understand what is being written over here. See, whenever we are dealing with the principle of allegation, we need to consider one entity. If I am taking a sugar solution, a sugar syrup, if I am considering, I need to consider the amount of sugar or the percentage of sugar or amount of water or percentage of water. And then I can compare it and then mix them and then get the corresponding solution. Now I am considering, because we need the amount of sugar, right? So in the initial sugar syrup solution that was prepared by Smita, for every cup of sugar, 4 cups of water were added. So sugar to water was in the ratio of 1:4. Sugar to water was in the ratio of 1:4. That is, for 1 part of sugar, there were 4 parts of water. That means 1/5 of the entire total is sugar. 1/5 of the total is sugar. So how much is the sugar? 1/5 is the sugar. Is that clear? Now to that, I add, not I, Smita's daughter Artha would add 15 more cups of sugar. Sugar itself is being added. Sugar is how much of sugar? One part. So if this is 1/5, then this is entire total. There's no fraction. The entire thing is sugar itself. To 1/5 concentration, you are adding one entire thing. Or in terms of percentage, you can consider this as to 20%, you are adding 100%. Okay. And what will be the result? If you add the 20% solution and the 100% solution, it gives rise to a sugar syrup where water and sugar is in the ratio of 3:2. Please understand, water and sugar is in the ratio of 3:2. So how much is the sugar? 2/5 is the sugar. So therefore this will be 2/5. So instead you can write this as 20%, 100% and 40%. I have written it in terms of fraction. 1/5, 1 and 2/5. If you go by the principle of alligation, 2/5 minus 1/5 is 1/5. 1 minus 2/5 is 3/5. So the ratio of the number of cups of sugar is in the ratio of 3:1. The ratio of number of cups of sugar is in the ratio of 3:1. If this one part, which is nothing but this amount of sugar that was added by Artha, this one part, if it is 15 cups, if 1 corresponds to 15, then 3 corresponds to how much? 45. Therefore, what is my answer? 45. It is as simple as that. Is that clear? If you want to deal with percentages, just listen to what I say. Instead of, if you are more comfortable dealing with percentage, instead of writing this as 1/5, you can write it as 20%. So you write this as 20, you write this as 100, you write this as 40. 20, 100, 40. What is 100 minus 40? 60. What is 40 minus 20? 20. So you have 60:20. What is 60:20? 60:20, 6:2. What is 6:2? 6:2 is 3:1. You end up with the same answer, 3:1. If 1 corresponds to 15, then 3 corresponds to 45. Therefore, the amount of sugar or the number of cups of sugar present in the initial sugar syrup prepared by Smita was 45 cups. 45 cups of sugar was there in the initial sugar syrup prepared by Smita, and that is the answer. Is that clear? Now, let us take another question. Again, I'll give you about 2 minutes time. You can use a similar approach as what we used for the previous question. 2 duffs contain wheat and oil in the ratio 7:3 and 9:1 respectively. In what ratio should these duffs be mixed to get the resultant duff, which contains wheat and oil in the ratio 17:3? So the first flour mixture has wheat and oil in the ratio of 7:3. The other one has it in the ratio of 9:1. We have to mix this such that we get the resultant mixture which has wheat and oil in the ratio 17:3. Now the question is, in what ratio do we have to mix these two duffs to get the resultant duff? Is that clear? I'll give you a minute time. Think about it, and then I shall explain the solution. Okay. Can we solve it orally first, even without using paper and pen? See, 7 is to 3, that means 7/10. 9 is to 1 means 9/10. 17 is to 3 means 17/20th. Right? So 7/10 is same as 14/20. So I have 14/20 and I have 18/20. 14/20, 18/20, 17/20. 14/20, 18/20 and 17/20. 18/20 minus 17/20 is 1/20. 17/20 minus 14/20 is 3/20. So 1/20 is to 3/20 is same as 1 is to 3. Therefore, my answer will be 1 is to 3 without using paper, pen, pencil, nothing. Just looking at it and dealing with numbers, we can say that the solution will be 1 is to 3. However, for the sake of convenience, let me just explain the same thing. 7 is to 3. What is the amount of wheat over here? 7/10 is the wheat. 7/10. What is the amount of wheat here? 9/10 is the wheat. So 9/10. What is the amount of wheat here? 17 out of 20. 17 out of 20. Now go diagonal. This way 17/20 minus 7/10 is 3/20. This way 9/10 minus 17/20 is 1/20. 1/20 is to 3/20 is same as 1 is to 3. Therefore, my answer will be 1 is to 3. If you are more comfortable with percentages, you can go ahead and directly deal with percentages as well. This will be 70%, this will be 90%, and this will be 85%. 70%, 90%, 85%. 90 minus 85 will be 5. 85 minus 70 will be 15. 5 is to 15 is same as 1 is to 3. Therefore, the answer is 1 is to 3. Is that clear? Enjoying the session? Let us see more such questions. Here comes the next one. Kuber lent rupees 36,000 in two parts. One part to Rama at 10% per annum simple interest and the other to Krishna at 7% per annum simple interest. If at the end of the year Kuber earned an interest of rupees 2,880 in total, then how much money was lent by Kuber to Rama? Kuber lent rupees 36,000 in two parts, one part to Rama at 10% per annum simple interest and the other to Krishna at 7% per annum simple interest. If at the end of the year Kuber earned an interest of rupees 2,880 in total, then how much money was lent by Kuber to Rama? You have 1 minute time. Again, can we solve it without using paper, pen? Let us see. Let us see if we can. See, what was the total interest earned? 2,880 rupees. How much money was lent? 36,000. So 2,880 is what percentage of 36,000? See, 10% of 36,000. 10% of 36,000 is 3,600. Okay. 1%, 360. Right? 1% is 360. So 2% will be 720. 3,600 minus 720. 3600 minus 720. 3600 minus 600 will be 3000. 3000 minus 120 will be 2880, and that is the amount of interest earned. Therefore, we can say that 2880 is 8% of 36,000. So to Rama, money was lent at 10% per annum, to Krishna at 7% per annum, simple interest. It is very important to understand that it is under simple interest. Therefore, we can use this. Because it is simple interest, the principle that is used every year to compute the interest rate will be a constant. Therefore, 10% to Rama, at 7% to Krishna. So you have 10%, 7%. And the overall transaction leads to a interest of 8%. So we have 10, we have 7, and we have 8. 10, 7, and 8. So 10 minus 8 is 2. 8 minus 7 is 1. So the money was lent to Rama and Krishna in the ratio of 1:2. So the money was lent to Rama and Krishna in the ratio of 1:2. That is, if the total money was in 3 bags, then 1 bag was given to Rama and 2 bags were given to Krishna. If the 3 bags together has 36,000 rupees in it, then 1 bag has 12,000. Therefore, the money lent to Rama was rupees 12,000. We don't need a paper or pen. We can directly just solve. Just read the question, understand, look at the numbers, think about the numbers, calculate, you get your answer. It's as simple as that. However, as always, for the sake of convenience, I give you the solution over here. First, we have to calculate what is the overall interest rate or the average interest rate that Kuber get. 2880 out of 36,000 in terms of percentage will be 8%. Now, how much, at what percentage was the money lent to Rama? 10%. At what percentage was the money lent to Krishna? 7%. What was the overall interest rate? 8%. Using the principle of allegation, 10 minus 8, 2. 8 minus 7, 1. Therefore, money was lent to Rama and Krishna in the ratio of 1:2. 1:2. If the total was 3 bags, 1 bag to Rama, 2 bags to Krishna. 3 bags has 36,000 rupees. That means 1 bag has 12,000 rupees. So how much money was lent to Rama? 12,000 rupees was lent to Rama. Is that clear? Interesting? Now let us see another question. Here it comes. A person bought a table and a chair for rupees 3,000. He sold the table at a profit of 20% and chair at a loss of 10%. So that overall transaction led to a profit of 2%. What is the cost price of table and that of chair? I'll repeat again. A person bought a table and a chair for rupees 3,000. He sold the table at a profit of 20% and chair at a loss of 10%. So that overall transaction led to a profit of 2%. What is the cost price of table and that of chair? You have 1 minute time to think. Okay, I'll give you both the usual method that people would use in the exam, because by the time we write the exam, we would have forgotten the concept, and especially if we are habituated to the study habit wherein we say, today I will be focusing on percentage profit and loss question. So today's only focus is on percentage profit and loss. Now when you are solving the exercise questions on percentage profit and loss, all that will be there in your mind is always percentage profit and loss. We will never be able to think through, is there any other way of solving the same question? Now you will see the drawback of that type of an approach. Okay. So first, the traditional way, if you use the percentages method, let us say cost of table is T rupees and the cost of chair is C rupees. The total cost of table and a chair is rupees 3000. So T plus C is rupees 3000. Now the table was sold at a profit of 20%. So if the cost price of table is T rupees, then the selling price of table will be 1.2 T. Chair was sold at a loss of 10%. That means if the cost price of chair is C rupees, then the selling price of chair will be 0.9 C. The overall transaction led to a profit of 2%. That means if the cost price is 3000, what is 2% of 3000? 10% is 300, 1% is 30, so 2% is 60. So the overall profit is 60 rupees. That means the total selling price is 3060 rupees. 3060 rupees. 3060 rupees. 1.2T plus 0.9C is 3060. T plus C is 3000. Now take the first equation, multiply it by 0.9, you will get 0.9T plus 0.9C is equal to 2700. Subtract one equation from the other. 1.2T minus 0.9T is 0.3T. 0.9C minus 0.9C gets cancelled out. 3060 minus 2700 is 360. Therefore, T will be equal to 360 divided by 0.3. 360 divided by 0.3, which is nothing but 1200. So the cost of table is 1200. And what is the cost of chair? The cost of chair, by substituting the cost of table as 1200, you get the cost of chair as 1800. 3000 minus 1200, which is 1800. This is one way of solving. If we understand conceptually, both profit as well as loss are based on what? Are based on cost price. The entire principle of alligation can be used in situations where the ratio of the weights have to be determined. It can be determined very quickly. Here the weight is nothing but, or the base or the reference, the denominator is nothing but the cost price. Therefore, I can directly use the principle of alligation. Now, how would I use the principle of alligation if I have to use it? Table was sold at a profit of 20%, so plus 20. Chair was sold at a loss of 10%, so minus 10. Overall transaction led to a profit of 2%, so plus 2. Now, use the principle of alligation. 20 minus 2, 18. 2 minus of minus 10. 2 minus of minus 10, 12. Therefore, the ratio of cost of table to that of chair is 12 is to 18. Ratio of cost of table to that of chair is 12 is to 18. That means if the total cost was 30 units, then the cost of table is 12 units and the cost of chair is 18 units. If the total cost is 30 units, cost of table is 12 units and cost of chair is 18 units. This 30 units is nothing but 3000. That means you just have to write 2 more zeros. So multiply the number by 100. So 18 becomes 1800, 12 becomes 1200. That is as simple as it gets. The cost of table is 1200 rupees and the cost of chair is 1800 rupees. Is that clear? Understanding it? Let us go on with another question. This is also an interesting question. Fresh grapes contains 90% water, while dry grapes contains 28% water. Fresh grapes contains 90% water, while dry grapes contains 28% water. How many kilos of fresh grapes are needed to obtain 5 kilos of dry grapes? How many kilos of fresh grapes are needed to obtain 5 kilos of dry grapes? You have 1 minute time. Okay. First, the normal way, and then I will help you use the alligation principle. 1 kilo of, let us see how much of dry grapes can be obtained from 1 kilo of fresh grapes. Okay. Let us see how much of dry grapes can be obtained from 1 kilo of fresh grapes. Okay. See, if I have 1 kilo of fresh grapes, because the fresh grapes contains 90% water, if I have 1 kilo of fresh grapes, 900 grams will be water and 100 grams will be pulp. From fresh grapes, if I am getting dry grapes, what is the transformation that is happening? Some amount of water is getting evaporated, right? Pulp will remain to be the same. Pulp does not change. The amount of pulp does not change, isn't it? That is, this 100 grams pulp, this 100 grams pulp will remain to be 100 grams pulp in dry grapes. And dry grapes contains how much of water? 28% water. If dry grapes contains 28% water, then what percentage is the pulp? The remaining, that is 72% is the pulp. So that 72% is the pulp, which is 100 grams. If 72% is 100 grams, then 100% is 10,000 by 72 grams. 100 by 72 into 100. 10,000 by 72 grams. That is 10,000 by 72 grams of dry grapes can be obtained from 10,000 by 72 grams of dry grapes can be obtained from 1 kilo or 1000 grams of fresh grapes. 10,000 by 72 grams of dry grapes can be obtained from 1000 grams of fresh grapes. For 10,000 by 72, I need 1000 grams. For 5 kilos, for 5000 grams, how much will I need? 1000 divided by 10,000 by 72 into 5000. 1000 divided by 10,000 by 72. Denominator of the denominator becomes the numerator. So 1000 divided by 10,000 by 72 into 5000. If I simplify, I'll get it as 36,000 grams. If it is 36,000 grams, that means it is 36 kilos. To get 5 kilos of dry grapes, how many kilos of fresh grapes do I need? I need 36 kilos of fresh grapes to get 5 kilos of dry grapes. Is that clear? I need 36 kilos of fresh grapes to get 5 kilos of dry grapes. Can I use the principle of alligation? Yes, definitely. Now, if you remember the sugar syrup solution, if you remember the wheat and oil one, this is also something like pulp and water, right? Consider the percentage. We have to also think little bit laterally. We just have to think that, okay, reverse osmosis process. That is, to dry grapes, if I add water, I get back fresh grapes. That is my thought. If I think that way, then it will be much easier for me to solve. Okay. Dry grapes has 28% water. So percentage of water I am taking. Dry grapes has 28% water. To that, if I add some more water, which is 100% water, I get fresh grapes which contain 90% water. If I simplify using the principle of alligation, 90 minus 28 is 62, 100 minus 90 is 10. This means that for 10 kilos of dry grapes, if I add 62 kilos of water, I will get 72 kilos of fresh grapes. To 10 kilos of dry grapes, if I add 62 kilos of water, I'll get 72 kilos of fresh grapes. Or in other words, from 72 kilos of fresh grapes, 10 kilos of dry grapes can be obtained. From 72 kilos of fresh grapes, 10 kilos of dry grapes can be obtained. So from 36 kilos, to get 5 kilos of dry grapes, I need 36 kilos of fresh grapes, because 5 is half of 10, 36 is half of 72. So to get 5 kilos of dry grapes, I need 36 kilos of fresh grapes. Is that clear? Isn't it simple? Now, let us take another question. A vessel contains 600 ml of pure milk. 60 ml of milk is removed and 60 ml of water is poured into the vessel. Again 60 ml of solution is removed from the vessel and 60 ml of water is poured into the vessel. The process is repeated once more. After this, what is the percentage of milk in the solution in the vessel now? What is the percentage of milk in the solution in the vessel now? You have maybe 40 seconds. Okay, let us look at the solution. See, initially there was 600 ml milk and 0 ml water. What happened? 60 ml of milk is removed. So how much of milk is there in the vessel now? 540 ml. And then 60 ml water is added. So how much of water is there in the vessel now? 60 ml water is there. That means I have just removed 60 ml milk and poured 60 ml water, and in the vessel now I have 540 ml milk and 60 ml water. Okay. Now from this vessel, if I am taking 60 ml, can I say the entire 60 ml will be milk? It's impossible. Can I say the entire 60 ml will be water? That's also not possible. So when I take out 60 ml, the amount of milk that goes out and the amount of water that goes out will be in the same ratio of the amount of milk and water that is there in that entire solution. So the amount of milk and water in the vessel is in the ratio of 9:1, or in other words, 90% of what I remove will be milk and 10% of what I remove will be water, isn't it? Got it? So this means if I am removing 60 ml, 54 ml will be milk and 6 ml will be water. So out of this 540 ml, if 54 ml is removed, I am left with 486 ml. Out of this 60 ml, if I remove 6, I am left with 54 ml water. To that 54 ml water, I again add another 60 ml. 54 ml water plus 60 ml water will be 114 ml. But this part you don't have to worry, because the total has to always be milk plus water must always be equal to the initial quantity, which is 600 ml. So 486 if I get over here, therefore this will become 114, because 486 plus 114 is 600. Now again I remove another 60 ml. Therefore how much goes out? 48.6 goes out. 486 minus 48.6. 486 minus 48.6, which is 437.4. This will be 162.6. The question asks is, what is the percentage of milk in the solution now? 437.4 out of the entire solution, which is 600. In terms of percentage, multiply it by 100. If I simplify this, 437.4 divided by 6, which is equal to 72.9%. See, this is the brute force method of solving. Step by step, step by step, step by step, we can solve. See, because it is 3 times, I can go ahead and I can somehow solve. Instead of 3 times, if it is 20 times, then it becomes difficult, right? So if you use the same method, and if you, instead of using the values, if you use some variables, then we will be ending up in obtaining a formula. That is the point that we need to note over here, that if there is P volume of pure liquid initially, this is important, if there is P volume of pure liquid initially and Q volume of this pure liquid is replaced with water, if there is P volume of pure liquid initially and Q volume of this pure liquid is replaced with water, and this process takes place n times, then after completion of n times, the concentration of liquid in the solution is given by P minus Q divided by P whole raised to the power n into 100%. That is, if you want, just remember this, P minus Q by P whole raised to the power n into 100%. So, if you look at the value of P as per this question will be 600. The value of Q is 60. 600 minus 60, P minus Q, 600 minus 60, which is 540, divided by P, which is 600. 540 divided by 600, that is 54 divided by 60, which is 9 divided by 10 whole raised to the power 3. 9 by 10 whole raised to the power 3 is the same as 0.9 to the power 3. 0.9 whole cube, which is 0.729. 0.729 into 100 is same as 72.9%. 0.729 into 100 is the same as 72.9%. Is that clear? Now, let us look at another question. A homemaker went to the market and bought home 1.5 kilos of chickpea, which contains 20% water. She soaked the chickpea in water for some time till the chickpea contains 60% water by absorbing water. Find the weight of chickpea after soaking. Find the weight of chickpea after soaking. Right? This is the same as the fresh grapes, dry grapes problem. Very similar. If we solve it in the traditional manner, 1.5 kilos means 1500 grams. So 1500 grams is the amount of chickpea. Now this chickpea has 20% water. So how much is water? 300 grams is water. So how much is the remaining solid? 1200 grams is the remaining solid. Now when this chickpea is put into a vessel of water, after it soaks, the outcome will be 60% will be water. So 40% will be solid. So 40% is 1200. If 40% is 1200, then 100% will be how much? 1200 by 40 into 100, which is 3000 grams. 3000 grams is how much? 3 kilos. So what will be the weight of chickpea after soaking? 3 kilos. This is one way of solving it. If you want to use alligation principle, 20% water, 100% water, you get a solution 60% water. Now you simplify 60 minus 20, 40, 100 minus 60, 40. 40 is to 40 same as 1 is to 1. That means initially if I have 1.5 kilos of chickpea, then another 1.5 kilos of water is absorbed by the chickpea when the chickpea is put into water for soaking. And the total weight after soaking will be 1.5 plus 1.5, which is 3 kilos. The same answer you get. You can either use this approach or this approach. But in order to use the principle of alligation, we should know how to use it. Also, we should know under what circumstances we can use it. Is that clear? Let us look at another question. A rice trader mixed two varieties of rice costing rupees 10 per kilo and rupees 15 per kilo in the ratio of 3:7. Find the ratio in which these two varieties of rice must be mixed to maintain same cost on the mixture if the price of second variety of rice gets decreased by rupees 0.5 per kilo. A rice trader mixed two varieties of rice costing rupees 10 per kilo and rupees 15 per kilo in the ratio of 3:7. Find the ratio in which these two varieties of rice must be mixed to maintain same cost on the mixture if the price of second variety of rice gets decreased by rupees 0.5 per kilo. Let us look at the solution. First, we need to find the cost of the mixture. 3:7. So you can consider 3x, 7x and denominator 10x. X anyway gets cancelled out. So that's why I have not written x. So 3 kilo at rupees 10 per kilo, 7 kilos at rupees 15 per kilo. So total amount is 10 into 3, 30 plus 15 into 7, 105. 105 plus 30, 135. 135 divided by 10, 13.5 is the price of the mixture. The cost of the mixture is rupees 13.5 per kilo. Now the question asked is, in what ratio should we mix the two varieties such that the cost of the mixture does not change? So the cost of the mixture is still 13.5. The first variety costs rupees 10 per kilo and the second variety costs rupees 14.5. Why 14.5? Because it decreased by 0.5. So 10, 14.5 and the average is 13.5. Go by the diagonal. 13.5 minus 10, 3.5. 14.5 minus 13.5, 1. Therefore, the ratio will be 1:3.5. 1:3.5 is same as 10:35. 10:35 is same as 2:7. Therefore, the answer is 2:7. In what ratio should they be mixed? In the ratio of 2:7. Is that clear? They should be mixed in the ratio of 2:7. Done? Let us look at another couple of questions more to understand the concept of allegations. Or maybe just the last question, hopefully. Arjun covered a certain distance by two modes of transport. First part by car at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour. Immediately followed by second part of journey by bus at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour, such that his average speed turned out to be 48 kilometers per hour. Find the ratio of time he travelled by car to that travelled by bus. If we don't think about allegations when such type of questions are asked, what do? We think that, yeah, this is nothing but time, distance, speed. The question is time and distance related question. Therefore, let me use this approach. First part, 40 kilometers per hour by car. Let us say he travels for x hours. 40 kilometers per hour for x hours. So the total distance covered 40x kilometers. Then at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour for y hours. Therefore, the total distance covered is 60y kilometers. Average speed is given as 48 kilometers for the entire journey. Average speed is total distance divided by total time. Total distance is 40x plus 60y divided by total time is x plus y. Now cross multiply. 48x plus 48y is 40x plus 60y. Simplify. 48x minus 40x, which is 8x, is equal to 60y minus 48y, which is 12y. X divided by y is 12 by 8. 12 by 8 is 3 by 2. X is to y is nothing but the ratio of the time travelled by car to that travelled by bus, which is nothing but 3 by 2, which is 3:2. This much has to be done if we go by the method of time and distance. Instead, if we understand, see, when speeds are given, what is the denominator? It is time per hour. So the amount of time. Time is the base, isn't it? So directly we can get the ratio of the time spent traveling by car to that spent traveling by bus by using the principle of alligation. First part of the journey 40 kilometers at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour. Second part of the journey at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. The average speed for the entire trip 48 kilometers per hour. 48 minus 40, 8. 60 minus 48, 12. 12:8 is same as 3:2. It hardly takes 1/3 of the time that we spent by solving it in this fashion. This method hardly takes 1/3 of the time that we spent over here. The crucial part is not solving this. The crucial part is to understand where alligation principle can be used allegation principle can be used in a situation where the ratio of the denominators helps us, or the ratio of the weights helps us to calculate whatever is needed very quickly. Under such type of circumstances, we can go ahead and use the principle of allegation. We have seen in this session that questions related to time and distance, questions related to simple interest, questions related to percentage profit and loss, all these type of questions can be solved. Most of them can be solved using the principle of allegations. Therefore, the principle of allegation, the knowledge of it, is extremely useful and comes very handy to save the time while solving the questions in the exam. Is that clear? That said, if you like the session and if you like more such questions and a coverage of more such topics, if you have not yet subscribed, I would urge you and recommend that you subscribe to Unacademy. Okay. To summarize, I have already stated that weighted average we have learned, principle of allegation we have learned, application of allegation principle we have learned. And when you subscribe to Unacademy, as I said, I strongly recommend that you subscribe to Unacademy. When you subscribe, you get access to the daily live classes where it simulates the classroom method of teaching, where you can chat with the educator, engage in discussions, ask your doubts, answer the polls. The course is delivered in a very structured way. You have access to live tests and quizzes, and just one subscription will give you unlimited access to all the educators on the platform. You can attend the live classes, you can attend the batch classes, as well as you can see that Unacademy provides you an advantage for you to choose the schedule that works for you. You can learn anytime, anywhere, without language being a barrier, and you can interact with the educator, get your doubts cleared. You can answer the live polls, which will be very interesting. You can answer the live tests and quizzes. You will get access to a detailed report and analysis for every test that you attempt on the platform. All the PDF learning material, the PowerPoint presentations, all of that will be made available to you. All of that comes at a very, very reasonable subscription fee of 18,900 rupees for 24 months. 18,900 for 24 months. It's if you take the same principle of dividing and figuring out, it is just less than even 800 rupees per month. It is less than 800 rupees per month, right? So I would strongly recommend that you take 24-month subscription, because that is extreme value for money. Because if you see, for 12 months, the subscription fee will be 15,750. You just add just one more month subscription fee to it, you get access for full 2 years. And I'm not discouraging people, even people who are taking up CAT exam this year, I would still recommend them to go ahead with the 24-month subscription, because the amount of knowledge that you get by paying just this 3,150 rupees extra is going to be humongous. Okay, it's actually because the amount of material that you get is just it is too very high as compared to this price. Okay? So I strongly recommend it. And when you are subscribing, if you do not use any code, you will have to pay 21,000 rupees. If you use a code, you will get a 10% discount. If you like this session, please use the code APUS while subscribing. Do not forget, use the code APUS, Arjun Prasad Unacademy subscribe, APUS while subscribing, so that you get a 10% off and you show the feedback to me and your love to me by using the code APUS. Again, use APUS code, subscribe to Unacademy, and hope to see you soon on the Unacademy platform, and will be happy to help you. Is that clear? With that, this is Arjun Prasad signing off. Thank you.